Good evening. Welcome to Chapter 5 of Black in Business HERstory with a children's theme. I'm Justina Perry, founder and director of BuyBlackNB.
And I'm Rayana Grace. I'm on the board of the New Bedford Historical Society.
And we are so honored to co-host this Black in Business series and share space with the inspirational women you'll get to meet tonight. This is our 5th episode, and if you are new here, this is how we'll spend our time tonight. We will be meeting some amazing women who are truly making history. Tonight we'll meet Jackie Ramos, Rosemary Williams, Neenah Cruz, and Emmy Lugo, all business owners who are here to share with us about their journeys. There are systemic implications to building these supportive ecosystems for Black-owned and women-owned businesses. Thriving Black-owned businesses could be a critical component for closing the racial wealth gap. This gap in business activity contributes to an overall lower level of prosperity for Black families. The median white family's wealth is more than 10 times the wealth of the median Black family. So these stories that we're sharing here tonight will help in our efforts to gain insight in how we can build a more just world. Who do we have up first tonight, Rayana?
Thanks, Justina, and thanks for starting off with those statistics. I think it's important to remind us why we started this in the first place and why we're having these conversations and highlighting these stories. It's really important to go back to the main point of this all, which is to help build economic mobility, to help highlight businesses, and to hopefully inspire people who are listening who want to start businesses themselves. So thank you for that. I'm really excited to introduce our first speaker, Jackie Ramos, who is also on the board of the New Bedford Historical Society. And I have to share just on a personal note that Jackie has always been a really great mentor to me. And something that I appreciate about her is that when I first joined the Historical Society, just as a program committee member, she really nurtured me. We would get together outside of those board meetings. And I think that it really helped to introduce me to the world of serving on a committee and building that sisterhood and intergenerational sisterhood. It never felt like she looked at me as this young person or anything like that. It was always just an authentic friendship. And I've always really valued having that relationship with her. So I'm really excited to be able to introduce Jackie. Jackie Ramos is the executive director and owner of Sunshine's Place in New Bedford. They've been in business for over 20 years. They're actually celebrating their 21st year. She's chief administrator for early learning in this community-based center serving from infants to 14-year-olds. The center is bilingual in a multicultural setting, provides comprehensive services, support and advocacy for low-income families with children, and is certified by the Department of Early Education and Care and accredited by the National Association for Education of Young Children. Jackie is also a graduate of UMass Amherst and received her Master's of Education from Harvard University. She has a wealth of professional experience, including helping with programming for administrative and teacher experience, early childhood and elementary special needs experience, small business development and owner experience, supervisory skills in programming, qualitative research. She served as a fellow for the Lesley University Graduate School of Education. She was a research fellow at the Institute for Equity in Schools and also worked as a consultant at the New Bedford Whaling Museum, supporting museum education staff to develop an age-appropriate museum tour for young children. I could really go on and on about all that Jackie's done. Her resume is incredible, and it's so amazing to have her here in New Bedford serving the youth of our city. So really excited to introduce Jackie and to hear all she has to share with us.
Welcome, Jackie. What a treat.
Hi, Rayana. Thanks so much for that introduction. It's my pleasure to be with you tonight. I'm so excited about this Buy Black project that you are involved in, and I'm grateful that you asked me to participate. So, my name is Jackie, and I am a lifelong learner, a career educator, and a community activist, all wrapped up in one. I'm a first college graduate in my family. And I remember what it was like growing up and how I was embraced by my friends and my family and the community at large that raised me. So I stand on all their shoulders. Why do I introduce myself that way? It's all a part of my journey. I made the decision to return home after many, many years of being out and about. And in that decision, I had decided to, let's say, turn my beliefs into action. I, decided that I had learned a lot. I had worked in universities. I had taught aspiring teachers. I should come home and give back to my community, which is what I chose to do. So getting ready to do something as an educator, I remember how people wrapped themselves around me. I want to make a childcare center. So that's how my journey got me back to New Bedford, my hometown. But in order to do what I wanted to do, it was clear to me that I had to identify a mission, have purpose, and absolutely a whole lot of passion. And I think I did that when I came up with the idea with friends to make a childcare center in the community where I was raised. That met with a lot of questions from people because I was raised in the south end of New Bedford, now called South Central, largely Cape Verdean at that time, right across the street from Bay Village and Monty's Park. And no one could understand why anyone would put a childcare center down in that community. And I thought, that makes no sense to me. I was raised by this community. I think I turned out okay. Some might argue, but why not? Don't our children deserve local, good quality care? Don't our children deserve a chance to have a better life? So that's kind of what led me to this. And all of that is my mission, purpose, and passion, which I think anybody starting a business from the ground up has got to be clear about and have certainly set in their hearts and minds. So I had the opportunity to purchase what was a house on Acushnet Avenue. That house needed an awful lot of repair, but I went about learning what I had to learn because remember I said I'm an educator. I'm not a businesswoman. I've learned to become a businesswoman of sorts, but along the way I learned lots and lots and lots of lessons. Once I decided that building, which was in need of a lot of repair, it even had lead lined shingles and all of that. So it was quite a production. So I set out making up a business plan, talking to the people I needed to. And right away, I hit a wall because, and this is important to my story and any, especially women looking to go into business, I hit a wall. It was called not being able to get any funding for my project. I had A+ credit. It wasn't personal in that sense, but I had the nerve to decide to locate a childcare center, a project in the middle of a poor neighborhood in New Bedford, and that's called redlining. And so I had to battle with some banks. I was turned down by more banks than I want to tell you. And then a smart elder man in Fairhaven, a vice president of one bank, said, "What shame on New Bedford? I'm going to help you." And he allowed the bank to get me the funding that I needed to create a childcare center. So after we secured funding, we began the project of designing the building, what it would look like. It's a house, not already like a school. So we were looking at creating what is known in childcare as a center-based childcare facility. So that meant we wanted to make it look as comfortable and as homey as we possibly could. And by the way, as I think about it, I'm actually really pleased right now because Rayana, this month exactly, we have been in business for 22 years. So we'll talk about that toward the end, but it just dawned on me. So I'm extra excited about talking about this. So I bought the building in 1998, I want to say, and it took 2 years for us to realize the opening of the school. In that time, we designed classrooms for all ages of children. We bought everything we needed to. I did fundraising. I had people help me finding out some resources. The best thing anybody can do is make a solid business plan and know where the finances are out in the community. The New Bedford Economic Development Fund and a number of other places lent support in the form of grants and whatnot. And that got us to the place where I could open up the school. At this point, we now have a building that is named Sunshine's Place. And I need to, as I bring this intro to a close, I need to say that Sunshine's Place means, that's the name of my grandfather. I know it's a cute name, it has to do with kids, but anybody that is originally from that neighborhood knows that my grandfather, Sunshine Ramos, was the biggest kid in town. And it was my tribute to my community because, as I said, coming home, it was really important to me that I give back to the community. And I don't mean that in a rhetorical sense. I just say it in a way that I know that I've been blessed with much, and I believe to whom much is given, much is expected. And so that's why I decided to go into business. But I will end on this note that it is incredibly important. There are many, many wonderful stories of success, but there's also heartache and pain. So having a mission, having strong purpose, and having a passion is very, very important. As women, we have to be strong. We have to be a rock. We have to be atrevida, like sassy, because you're in places where other people aren't, and don't expect to see a woman able to be that kind of successful. And you have to be tremenda in order to be able to stand up for yourself and for your community in the face of the naysayers and the people who don't want to see you succeed. We live in a world where we all have access to intelligence and strength. We don't all have access to equal opportunities. That's why I felt it was really important to create a childcare center in the neighborhood that raised me. Thanks, Rayana.
So wonderful. I love that it was a tribute to your grandfather. And that story, it's what we need more of. And I think a huge way to combat gentrification, it's like we can have nice things in our communities, and it should be our community members who are building it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in 22 years, like, awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe it myself.
And I know I'll segue right into that. And I know you touched on this a little bit with kind of your final words, but if you have any other advice for being in business for over 20 years is amazing. And do you have any words of advice for some entrepreneurs who might just be starting out?
Yes, here locally, I think everywhere in the world, but we're in a new era right now, post-COVID and all of that, but also in a time where younger generational voices are lifting up truth and calling people out for their racism and their classism and their sexism and all of the other isms. So for young people, I would still say, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Make a plan. People laugh at me. My friends think it's funny. I always write notes, but you make a plan and stick to it. Go step by step, study it, analyze it, go back and forth, find friends in various parts of the business world that you're interested in that will advise you, and listen carefully. You know what you need, but maybe you don't know how to get there, but somebody does. Yep. So don't be shy.
Yeah.
Don't be worried. Don't be afraid. And don't be worried also about your own who get mad at you, because who do you think you are? I've grown up with that all my life, so I tell that part of the story everywhere. Who do you think you are? I know who I am. That's why I'm doing this.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, and part of what you said, a lot of the interviews we've done, people have said that you're not going to know every single part. Like, you have to humble yourself to ask for help when you need it. Don't be shy in getting these mentors or people who have better expertise than you, because that's how you grow and learn. And I think there's a lot more people willing to offer that help than people think, and that might get in their own way.
I know what I know about education, Rayana. I'm a career educator, a lifelong learner. I was never a businesswoman, never thought I had a head for business. So I had to find people who were willing to share and guide me.
Yep. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And my other question for you is, working in a field that is largely dependent on women who are often mothers themselves, the importance of childcare was definitely highlighted in the pandemic. So how has this past year been for you, and what have you learned?
It's been a tremendous challenge on a lot of levels. I absolutely agree with your point. I think one of the good things that's beginning to come out of this time is that with the workforce being in such trouble, not because of people getting the right ideas, but the workforce being in such trouble because of the pandemic, people began to have conversations about, oh my goodness, these families need childcare.
Yep.
You know, it was you're on your own, get a babysitter or just pay big money. The state, let's say, the nation in some ways, has begun to realize that our labor force is made up of all kinds of working people who have children. They have to have access to quality childcare, and they don't all have the financial resources to get that. So it's incredibly important, and it's more important for women than men. I will say to you without doubt, the 95% of my current population happen to be small families or single mothers only. And it's not easy when they have to be at work at 7 o'clock. And even if they have a child at school age and they get out of school at 3, I might not get out of work until 4. There are so many day-to-day challenges that can't even be realized until you're in that world. So I think the pandemic lifted that up more than ever. But now it's a question of achieving the capacity and expanding the capabilities of existing centers, getting more centers, so that when people are able to get back into work and able to get childcare, there will be place for them.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem.
And I have seen a lot of mobilization of advocacy work around the state pushing for this.
Exactly. Good timing in some ways. It actually preceded the pandemic. The pandemic just made it like so powerfully clear. Yeah. So evident out in the world. So hopefully we'll do better. But we you know, sometimes they say, oh, all of this complaining is always about the money. Well, yes. That's called access to resources. It's not just about the money, but if you want quality care, if you want quality teachers, if you want your child to have a chance in life, then we have to dedicate the resources to making that possible for all of our children. We have a tagline on my on our letterhead and even on the t-shirt that we made, and it says, to teach a child is to change a life forever. Wow. So that's kind of our core belief and our core practice, but we've got to get them in the building and keep them there, keep them healthy and safe, which is what I remember growing up around when I was a little kid in that very same neighborhood. I didn't appreciate it then, but I sure do now. Right. And I understand the challenges that many more families are facing in this time. Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting children in the building, my last question to you is, are you currently enrolling students? If so, how can people get a hold of you? I'd love for you to highlight how people can sign up their child at your center.
Thank you, Rayana, for that. I love the chance to talk about it. Yet we're always enrolling, and the pandemic slowed us down quite a bit. So we're starting to gear up again and take in more children so that our capacity can be reached. We are not full by any means. Our enrollment ranges from infants, toddlers, preschoolers on through school age up to the age of 13. So we take care of whole families when we have the room. And that's sort of been a cornerstone of our particular center, because I just believe in supporting entire families. So right now, and a lot of, I will say, we are a multilingual school. As you can see, if anybody that watches heard me, I said what we needed to be as women in 3 languages.
Yeah.
Because that was, of course, English, Creole, and Spanish, because that's who comes to our school.
Yep.
That's who we have. That's what my teachers look like. That's what my families look like. And that's what we want to do. So a baby room, a toddler room, preschoolers, and school age. The only problem with school age for us is because we're not sure about transportation yet. We can only take school age kids that are nearby, like especially like if they're from Gomes, because with the pandemic rules and regulations rightfully changing around transportation,
Right.
we're still trying to figure that out, like most other centers I know.
Yeah. Well, great. So for anyone watching.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say.
Yeah.
We have Sunshine's Place Inc. is how to find us on Facebook and on our website. Sunshine's Place Inc. We now have a website that we're building more and more and more. So those are the ways to find out about us. But otherwise, everyone is always welcome to 211 Acushnet Avenue to ask yourself, or to call 508-984-7373. Any one of those ways will get you to one of us.
Wonderful. Awesome. So yeah, for anyone listening, if you have a child, like she said, the ages go up through school age. They'd love to have you. So please reach out. As you can hear from Jackie, there's such a passion and a holistic level of care that would really ensure that your child is not just educated, but really cared for and loved, which makes all the difference. So thank you so much, Jackie, for being with us today. It was really just wonderful to hear from you.
I love you and I love what you do. I'm so proud of you. I have to end on that note. I'm proud of you. You make me smile. You and young women like you make me smile and know that I'm doing the right thing for as long as I can.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks. And we're going to pass it back over to Justina.
Next up, please join me in welcoming Rosemary Williams. Rosemary was raised in Mattapoisett and began playing piano and singing at the young age of 5 years old. Rosemary continued music lessons through her childhood with Rick Brito and graduated, went on to ORR High School and attended Berklee College of Music in Boston. Rosemary completed Berklee's extensive music therapy program, graduate of 2015, and has since then worked with many populations as a music therapist. Rosemary specializes in music therapy with autism spectrum disorder, developmental delays, chromosomal disorders, Alzheimer's, dementia, mental health, and dual diagnosis, just to name a few populations. In addition to being a board-certified music therapist, Rosemary is also a Reiki master level teacher and a Reiki practitioner, and is trained in American Sign Language and music therapy assisted childbirth. Whoa, what an amazing woman we have joining us this evening. I am so excited to bring to her story this evening, Rosemary Williams. Welcome, Rosemary.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, Justina.
So I'm going to give you the floor, and we look forward to hearing your story.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to start a little bit first by just sharing how I even got to know what music therapy was. I was a sophomore in college at Berklee College of Music, as Justina stated. And my mother actually was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So she had to undergo a double mastectomy, radiation, chemo, and through that, she was one day at one of her treatments and someone came in, I don't know if it was a nurse or a doctor, and asked her if she wanted a non-invasive treatment that could help, just relieve some of her discomfort or some pain that she may be having. And they asked her if she wanted music therapy. My shock was like, what is that? I know I go to music school, but I've never heard of that. So I did what everyone would do, which is go home and go on Google. And through that, I was able to find that my college actually offered music therapy as a major. So I shortly applied, and after that, the rest was history. I have a very unique profession. Many people are like, I have never heard of that. What do you just like play songs for people? And I'm like, Yeah, it is that. Music therapy is similar to occupational therapy, speech therapy, where we work towards goals for a client using musical and non-musical interventions. So for example, somebody with a speech delay, we might use music as a stimulus to have them fill in the end of the word, the phrase, the sound at the end of a phrase. So for example, twinkle, twinkle, little, and then have the child or whoever it is fill in the star. I might also sign it, which I also do American Sign Language. Children are more apt to respond in a musical intervention just because they don't consider it to be hard work. I specialize in music therapy in various populations, as Justina stated previously. Autism spectrum disorder, chromosomal disorders, speech delays, and then dual diagnosis. So someone might have autism and ADHD or anxiety. I'm fortunate to have a lot of great experience. In addition to being a music therapist, I am also a Reiki Master Level teacher and practitioner. That was one of my what am I going to do in quarantine pandemic ideas. I was looking for something to expand my practice, something that had to do with wellness. And so I completed all 4 courses during the pandemic, and I also now offer Reiki sessions, and I also do have some crystals and sage bundles as some side merchandise, a piece that we're adding to the wellness practice slowly but surely. I am also going to be offering sound birthing. Again, people are like, what is that? So in short, it is prenatal, perinatal, and postpartum music therapy. So we assist the parents before birth, through each stage of labor, and also postpartum care and bonding. I have been an early intervention music therapist for some years now, and I just recently began offering music therapy to the community. Another pandemic idea of mine. And I've always wanted to go into private practice. It's always been a passion of mine. And so I just finally made it happen. I'm currently based in New Bedford, but I'm also offering services in the surrounding areas, New Bedford, Fall River, Fairhaven, Somerset, Swansea, Freetown, and Dartmouth. I mean, the list goes on, all of the surrounding areas. I will, in special cases, travel a little further on a case-by-case basis, but I am currently taking on some private clients. So if you know anyone, here I am. I also do offer 2 community-based groups. Right now I'm offering a music group in Fall River, which I lead every Saturday morning with the sweetest little ones at 9 a.m. That group specifically focuses on developmental and educational learning skills, some milestones that may reflect your child's growth and development. We use lots of music and movement and encourage socialization, considering that this may be the first time many children may have even gotten to interact with others their age because of the pandemic. I also like to incorporate some mommy and me yoga techniques, but fathers are welcome, grandparents are welcome, anyone's welcome to the group, but I like to put some little like yoga in there too. And on July 6th, I will be beginning a new group, which I'm super excited about, and that will be at the Haskell Gardens in New Bedford. That is a mommy and me support group. I call it Making Our Way Through Postpartum and More, and I emphasize on the more. I say more because I feel like being a mom myself, I am constantly like, some days going so crazy, like, oh my God, I wish I had someone to bounce this idea off of, or does anyone else's child do this? And this is super special to me because I will collaborate with a dear friend of mine who is a licensed mental health counselor in this area as well. I feel like also being an African-American mom of 2 little boys myself, I constantly am doing my research involving prenatal, labor experiences, and postpartum care, super important points to me. And so many of us become on autopilot, like doing a billion and one things as mommies, juggling a toddler, a newborn at the first doctor's visits, like a couple days postpartum. And we begin to get like so overwhelmed. So with this group, I'm hoping to gather some mamas and just parents in general, just looking for others who may be going through the same thing they are, because we all are, believe me. It doesn't necessarily have to be immediately after postpartum, and it's for moms of toddlers as well, because the struggle of juggling work, business, mommying, and those tantrums in Target, it's real. So I would like for us, for this group specifically, to be an open and safe space for us in the community, and just to offer support and just enjoy some bonding time with mommy and baby, or parent and baby, whoever may be there. And this one does include refreshments. So if you're looking for some coffee and tea and a nice morning snack, as well as some great music therapy and some bonding time, that will also be provided weekly. But I'm super excited to lead these groups in this area and in the community, and just offer my services. So I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you.
Thanks, Rosemary. That is so exciting to hear about some of those programs that you're offering locally. That's really exciting. I'm sure that people previously would have had to travel outside of the area to access that music therapy. And as a physical therapist who specializes in women's health, I'm really excited to hear about the child's birth assisted with music, what a nice option to have, particularly for those who are looking to do like natural birth. And I think that the more support that we have with that, it's just a really wonderful option to have. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've been following, as you know, I promote Black-owned businesses locally, and I follow your business and your husband's business. And it stands out to me. I don't see other services owned by a Black couple in our area who are promoting online and have websites. So I'm wondering, it sounds like you were very inventive in the pandemic, but how did you come up with your marketing strategy, and what are your plans to keep people engaged on your sites?
Okay, yeah, so I literally just began researching how to start a private practice. I was that person that was like, I wanted to do this and I have no clue where to begin. So I did my research, and the great thing about it is that my profession is so unique that there is like not many of this in this area except in Boston, or mostly up in Western Mass. So as far as like competition goes, I kind of was the only one, so I had that advantage. But as far as like that impromptu, like starting my business in the pandemic, I would use like savings. I was like not one to like, I didn't want to like take out a loan or do any of that stuff, but I was like, let me just, save from working my regular job as an early intervention music therapist, which I've been able to work this whole pandemic. So I'm super grateful for that. So I'd use funds from that and like kind of put towards it little by little. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to become an LLC. So I like went on to the Secretary of State website, and there's a lot that goes into a private practice, of course, with malpractice insurance and contracting and a lawyer and things like that. So I had to do all of that as well. But when it was done, just the feeling of having it done was just amazing. And I mean, I just feel like not being afraid to invest in yourself is the biggest strategy for me, because, and I should say this with like not knowing whether you're going to succeed or fail, like
Right.
Just be ready to invest in yourself, because you just never know, if there is that chance you could be so successful. And it's okay if you feel too, but like you don't want to have that regret behind you, like not knowing if I ever tried. And so that was kind of how I came to be. And then with strategy, like marketing stuff, I make brochures, because like I said, a lot of people don't know what I do. So giving them that brochure piece, or offering to do in-services for staff at facilities, my websites, I have a Facebook page, Mindful Melodies LLC, as well as an Instagram. And then I also do all of this stuff for my husband's business too. Our business that we share, which is Williams Landscaping and Handyman Services. So been super into all of that marketing stuff. But yes, I can say that Google was my best friend, the Secretary of State website for anyone looking to become an LLC. But yeah, my pandemic stories.
Thank you for sharing that. That's good advice to learn about how you navigated that. And my last question for you would be for, I think for anybody who may be listening who's interested in music therapy, or knows somebody who's going off to college and has that music background or not. But what advice would you give to somebody who seems interested in this career, who wants to pursue it? What would you tell them?
Well, for any college student looking to do music therapy, I mean, I could rant and rave all day about Berklee College of Music, but I'm a little biased. But Anna Maria College and Leslie both have amazing programs as well. But I think that one piece of advice I can really give is to learn to be proficient in whatever instrument you study. In music therapy, hence the music part, you do have to learn an instrument, whether it be guitar or piano, or already know an instrument, and just learn to be more proficient in it. And also try to learn others like percussion or piano or guitar, just because it allows you to be more present in the moment for your client, more authentic, just during that moment in therapy. And also in music therapy, expect to work hard. They might be like, oh, it's music, it's so much fun. And I'm like, yes, it is. But there's a clinical internship of 1,040 hours. Mine specifically was at a nursing home in Jamaica Plain, which I loved. You also have 5 practicums. I've done Boston Children's Hospital. I've done the school system out of Boston. And so there's a lot of training that goes into it, and then a board certification exam at the end. Just like a nursing exam or occupational therapy, physical therapy, you have to take that big board exam. But I will say it's totally worth it in the end, because it's super rewarding to see the benefits and the impact that your therapy has made in someone's life. So that's the key to get through all the work.
And what are your instruments? What are you proficient in?
I play piano, guitar, percussion, and I sing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about the singing. That's
I've actually sang just along with piano. So at age 5 until then, and my family's also very musical. My grandmother, she's from New Bedford originally, but she plays organ. She's 89 and plays in church every weekend. Like, she plays at weddings and funerals. And my dad and the whole family, we all play instruments.
It's in your genes.
Oh, yes.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being here with us tonight and opening up about your story. I hope that people will find you online. Can you tell them again, tell our audience where to find you?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook at Mindful Melodies LLC. Also the same handle on Instagram. And then you can find my website, mindfulmelodiesllc.com.
All right, Rosemary. Well, now as we're about to wrap up, the audience, we're so excited to have a little tune and get a little taste of what you bring for some of your music therapy sessions. So I will pass it off to you. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. So tonight I will end with a song. It's one of my favorites from The Sound of Music. It's called Edelweiss. I love doing this one with some of my kiddos that may be in some discomfort, may have had like a medical procedure. It's just a calming and soft song to relax them and just to relieve some discomfort. And it's a great lullaby. So here is Edelweiss. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Bless my homeland forever.
Well, thank you, Justina. I'm so excited to be here today with Neenah Cruz. Neenah has been dancing since the age of 2, where she soon discovered her love for the performing arts. Throughout that time, she has received influential training from several local dance schools, but the most impactful in her career was her time at Hope Speck's School of Dance. Neenah has worked and trained with numerous choreographers throughout the East Coast, winning multiple awards and titles nationwide. One in particular that stands out is her recognition from the United States Tournament of Dance, where she received the Judges Award of Excellence. Neenah is privileged to be a part of 2 dance teams. One allowed her to perform at such places including Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall, Magic Kingdom, Universal Studios, Fox News, the WNBA, and 2 NBA teams. The World US Dance Team led her to perform at the World Dance Show in Riesa, Germany, competing against 30 other countries. It was there that Neenah became the silver medalist for her solo in the open category, as well as the silver medalist in the duet category for her tap duet. In the last 10 years, she received multiple choreography and entertainment awards. Her choreography has gone undefeated at the regional and national level for the past 3 years, making her dancers undefeated national title champions. Neenah's 15 years of teaching has led her back to her hometown, where she plans to utilize her skill set and make a positive impact in her community. Neenah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you. I know that you have so much going on at the Performing Arts Center and your story sounds amazing. So we'd really just love to hear about how you got here, what's going on, and anything else you'd like to share. So thanks again.
Of course, I'd love to share my story. So I've been dancing since the age of 2. My mom put me in dance early on. I grew up in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and I danced for a few local studios. And then when I was about 9 years old, I guess when my family started to see that I showed potential in dance, they decided that they wanted me to get a little bit more intense training. So they brought me for about nine or 10 years. I traveled about an hour to an hour and a half to receive training in Rhode Island and in Hopedale, Massachusetts. So we traveled out there. I danced about 5 to 6 days a week for multiple hours. And I was a part of a competition team. And just being in competitions and getting the experience that I was getting, I'll just touch on some of the things you talked about. I was chosen, along with some of my teammates, to be a part of 2 separate United States dance teams. One was a United States dance team based in the States. So we traveled around. I was able to perform for Radio City Music Hall, Magic Kingdom, Universal. I was able to perform halftime shows for the NBA and the WNBA. And then I was also chosen to be a part of a international United States dance team. That's when me and the other US team members, we flew to Germany to go and compete, whatever I'd say, whatever routines were chosen to represent the United States. So one of the routines that was chosen was one of my solos, and I received the silver medal. So that was a huge accomplishment. And I also had another routine that was chosen, which was my tap duet. And that also received the silver medal. So it was a huge accomplishment in my dance career. I went on to dance throughout high school. And once I graduated high school, I then moved to New York. I wanted to go ahead and further my training and just be able to train at places such as Broadway Dance Center in New York City, just to get just some more training from different choreographers. And I stood there for a few years. I did a lot of training, but I also did a lot of working. It was just financially so expensive out there to try and survive as, you know, an 18-year-old fresh out of high school. So I wasn't able to do the industry dancing that I wanted to do. The audition process required a lot of time during the day, and I was working a lot. So I was still grateful to be able to train during the nights. But once I left New York, I then went to Atlanta, and I went there with the intention to just do more and more training. But I found out I was having my son. So once I had my son, I then took on the position of a competition director at a local dance studio in Austell, Georgia. While I was there, I was in charge of, you know, all the competition teams, all of their choreography and all of their training. That's as I was probably, like, I want to say 22 at the time. That's kind of where I had been teaching since I was 15. But at that point where I had my child, and I was also at a little bit of an older age than when I originally started teaching, that's when I started to really see that this was a passion. So taking performers or dancers from a beginner level to an advanced level, just seeing their progress from my training and my coaching, it was just like, I don't even have the words, but it just filled me up so much to see that I could make a difference in these performers' lives. And also seeing that I was not only a coach, I had found a good balance of, you know, these kids trusting me and looking at me as like a coach slash mom slash mentor, someone that they looked up to, but still being a coach and, you know, making sure they were working hard and all that. I found a good balance in all of that. And that's when I recognized, like, I think this is something that I really want to do. So I stood at the school in Georgia, I want to say for about 6 or 7 years while I was there full time as the competition director. And I decided to move back home. And even though I'm back home, I still go out there to do some of their choreography for their competition. So I'm still traveling to Georgia a few times a year to work with my students from there. And I am back here, and I had gone through, I guess, just some personal things. And at that time, I remember thinking, like, I always knew that I wanted to open up a place of my own, but the timing never felt right. And while I was going through everything that I was going through personally, I decided, like, I want to do something for myself. I felt defeated in what I was going through, but I wanted to pick myself back up and just show myself that I could do it as well. And so in 2019, I decided to open the New Bedford Performing Arts Center. And it's been great. We had COVID our first season. But even though it put a strain on the business, I can truly say that I bounced back from COVID. I had taken the time because we had to cut the season short in March of 2020. And at that time, I was upset, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna find a way out of this. I'm going to utilize this time that I have off to help grow the business. So I went onto the internet, just kind of searching through ways to connect with people in the community, just the city of New Bedford in general. And I found a program called E for All. And I applied for their summer accelerator in 2020, and it's basically a 12-week program that takes entrepreneurs and small business owners, and it helps them gain the knowledge of how to successfully start and grow a small business. And that program was just an amazing experience. I gained so much knowledge that I then took from that program. And when I was able to reopen, I just pushed all of that into my business. And I'm still in that process. I'm still in the process of growing. But I just learned so much from that. And I truly feel that that program and the knowledge that it helped me, the knowledge it helped me gain, kind of just helped me succeed through COVID. So here I am now. We just had our first recital. I had about 50 kids, and I want to say a good 45 of them have never danced before. They came in brand new last September, and just to see how much they've grown, just to hear parents tell me, like, I never thought my child would do something like this. They don't have the confidence, and now they're showing all of this confidence, and dance is really making a difference in their lives. And, your coaching is making a difference in their lives. It means the world to me. And even though I had those setbacks from COVID, I just feel like I've really persevered through, and I'm still in the process. I'm still in being a new business, still in that whole process, but I really feel that the New Bedford Performing Arts Center is on the right track, and we are here to bring that intense training that I was talking about, that I drove an hour to an hour and a half away to get. I'm here to bring that to the city of New Bedford and its surrounding cities. I want parents to know that they're getting quality instruction here. And we have a passion for this. We care about these kids that we're working with. We care about making a difference in the city, about making a difference for the youth of the city. So we're trying to package that all up and put it into this business and just offer an amazing product.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Neenah. And we actually had Samia from E for All as one of our first speakers when we first launched HERstory. We love what they do, and I know that there is there's probably a ton of people with a story like that E4All influenced, but really so great to hear how you got here and maybe some stumbles along the way, and to have COVID your first year, but to have such a successful recital. And I'm sure to hear that feedback from families that how much dance is really impacting their child's life. I'm sure that makes it all worth it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And so again, hearing your story, you've been everywhere. You could have set up shop in Atlanta, overseas, like you've been everywhere, and you chose to come back to New Bedford, to your hometown. So what drove that decision to come back here and bring your expertise to the area?
I would say just over the years, I have been gone, I want to say about 10 years between New York and Atlanta. And just over the years, just hearing everything that was going on in New Bedford, just hearing so many people who were seeing New Bedford in a negative light, and, you know, just lack of opportunity that I felt was here. I just decided that, like, if this is something that I'm gonna do, like, I wanna do it somewhere where I feel the youth could benefit from it. And, you know, this is where I have a lot of family here and friends here, and I'm just like, I'm here to work with your children and, you know, get something going in the community. I do my best to offer scholarships to families who can't afford our programs. You know, I give a certain amount of scholarships out each season. I'm working on that process right now, doing the interviews for all of the children who need the scholarship for the season coming up. So I'm just trying to make an impact and use what I've learned over the years and, you know, my strengths to make a difference for my hometown and where I'm from and where I feel could use it.
Awesome. We love when people come back to New Bedford and give back. You hear the term brain drain, where it's like, oh, like people leave, and I feel like more and more people are coming back and giving back to New Bedford and making it an even more amazing place to live. So thank you for bringing your
Of course.
And another question I have is, in any time that people are working with youth, there's always, I feel like, the means to an end. So you're doing dance, of course, and you want students to learn this, as you said, like an intense skill set. But besides the actual physical learning of dance, what else do you want the students in your classes to learn and to take away from being enrolled?
So that's a great question. Over the years, I'd say as a dancer and performer, I had like, I would say internal struggles. And it wasn't until I did the HERstory program where I had to come up with my why and come up with what makes me different, right? There's so many other awesome schools in the area, so many great studio owners, but what is it that, you know, is going to bring people to me, a brand new studio just, you know, coming in here? And at that time, I just started to kind of look back at my journey. And I started to realize that a lot of the internal struggles that I dealt with, which was my confidence, my self-esteem, it came from my journey in the dance industry. The industry has grown from where it used to be. But when I was there and when I was trying to do certain things, I didn't have the ideal body type. I didn't look like the other girls that I was dancing with. I looked very different. And I lacked the confidence. It didn't matter what I was doing or what I was winning or where I was going. I still lacked the confidence to believe that I was actually talented. And so I really, as much as I want to bring this intense training to the city, my main focus is also the mental health of our youth, and focusing on making sure that they know that they're good enough, and making sure that they're accepted no matter what they look like, where they come from, you know, what they're going through or dealing with. We accept them and we want to build them. We want to instill that confidence and that self-esteem, and just those core values in them. You know, there's a lot that doing a sport or being a part of the team offers. It you know, it teaches them work ethic. It teaches them how to work with a team. It teaches them, you know, how to just strive towards something. And it doesn't matter whether they win or they don't. But what matters is that they know how to try to do their best at what they're doing, and they're confident in themselves. And that's kind of what I want to teach the kids that I work with, aside from, you know, the physical training of being a performer.
That's really wonderful. And to hear you drawing from your experience, where I'm sure there weren't always a ton of Black girls in your class, or like you said, maybe they were thinner or taller or whatever it was. And for you to take that and know that you want to help build confidence in kids and what a difference it can make in other areas of life, not just when they're on the stage. It's really, really amazing. And I think just what kids need nowadays. So thank you for all you're doing all the way around. Really great.
Of course, thank you.
So we would just love to hear like what classes you're offering, if you have any openings, how people can reach you if they want to enroll their student. If you do have openings, we'd love to hear just what you have and how people can reach out to you.
Yes, definitely. So we are about to launch our summer session. That runs from July 5th through August 27th. It's something for the kids to be involved in during the summer. Sometimes the summer gives breaks. I don't like to give as many breaks. I like to keep the kids going. So we have our summer sessions with classes during the evening. The classes run, say, anywhere from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we offer jazz, tap, ballet, gymnastics, musical theater, acting, vocal. I don't know if I missed anything, lyrical, the basics. But we also have camps running through the summer. So even next week, we have our fairy tale camp for ages 3 to 6. We have a tumbling camp, we have an acro camp, we have a ballet intensive that we have going on, and those are camps that will be running throughout the day. But if you are interested in anything, you can always jump onto our website, www.newbedfordpacpac.com. We are also on Facebook, New Bedford Performing Arts Center, on Instagram, New Bedford Pac, and our phone number is 774-526-0048. And if you reach out to us, you know, we'll be happy to assist you and get your kids involved in everything that we have going on. There's plenty for them to do.
Wonderful, thank you. And we'll of course link all of your information in the description of the video below. So if anyone wants to reach out to Neenah and the New Bedford Performing Arts Center, please don't hesitate. As you hear, she has something for everyone and would love to have your child involved. So thank you again, Neenah, for your time. This was wonderful to hear about your new endeavor, and it's great to hear just how you're doing and your story, and again, how you landed back in New Bedford. So thanks for your time. Thank you for what you're doing for our community, and I'm sure this is not the last time we'll hear from you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure.
Thanks, Rayana. Next up, I'll ask everyone to please welcome Emmy Lugo, who owns Ever After Storybook Entertainment since 2016, which is a character entertainment company that specializes in bringing storybook characters to life. This is for birthday parties, public events, live shows, and a lot more. Her company solely focuses on representation for all children, specifically children of color, because the industry is in desperate need of performers of color to accurately portray characters to inspire not only children, but for those to feel seen and heard. And we recently hired Emmy and the Black Panther and Shuri to be present at our Juneteenth pop-up event, which was a huge success, and people really loved having those characters there, and I loved having that option. So without further ado, I will pass the stage over to Emmy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and I want to congratulate you on your Juneteenth event. That was so incredible. Like, I can't believe you got the community together and, like, you know, you did that. So, like, congrats.
So much. Yeah, I'm so glad that it all came together. It was really fun, and having characters like yours just added, you know, different elements to the event that made it so special. So, all right. So I'll let you share your story about your journey with your business now.
Okay, so hello, my name is Emmy, and I run Ever After Storybook Entertainment. I'm based out of New Bedford. However, we travel to Rhode Island, of course, Massachusetts, and then part of Northern Connecticut. And I started off this industry because I'm also a photographer on the side. And one day I was photographing a Rapunzel, and she, you know, a girl dressed as Rapunzel. And I was taking photos of her, and she had asked me if I would ever consider dressing up as Princess Jasmine for a charity event. It's called the Jimmy Fund. And I told her, yeah, sure, you know, I guess, okay. And then, she, you know, she bought me my own costume, like my own wig, and everything from there. Like, my first event I loved, and it kind of just spiraled from there, like my love for this industry. And before that, I actually did not know this industry existed at all. I had no idea about, you know, character visits. Other than, you know, seeing a mascot, like maybe Fenway Park, but that's the amount of the extent of my knowledge went with this industry. So after that, I kind of bounced here and there with different companies, but I noticed a common denominator with all companies nationwide, actually not even nationwide, I would definitely say worldwide, where performers of color, specifically characters of color, weren't portrayed accurately. It was more seen as a dollar sign, like a, hey, I can put on Princess Jasmine, throw her on a tan, and call it a day. And at first, I did not understand why that was an issue. It always bothered me, of course, but it almost came back to me in a sense of, like, one day, my first Moana party, actually, when I performed as Moana, I had a mother call me, and she was, like, pretty angry for the right reasons. She was really upset that somebody was going to send a white looking Moana to portray Moana and convince her brown daughter that she was the real thing. And that's when I kind of realized that, there is a problem with not only colorism, but racism happening within this industry, and nobody seems to have a problem with it. So that kind of became my mission, and my pretty much my mission statement, to address the industry as a whole. And our main hub for the industry is on Facebook pages, Facebook groups, and we don't have a handbook to look back on and say, like, hey, this is wrong, this is okay, this is not okay, this is okay. So we all had to come up with a industry standard. And when I came in, white performers playing characters like Moana, Jasmine, Elena Avalor, you know, so on and so forth, was seen as okay. As long as you had a tan, it was okay. And it wasn't until throughout the years in this industry where I would, of course, perform for children of color, specifically Black little girls, and they would always comment on my skin tone, not in a negative sense, but more of like, hey, Elena, you have the same color as me, or hey, Moana, like, our skin tones are the same. And I had an incident where I was performing at a princess ball, and a princess ball is honestly all the princesses together and they perform. And a mother had requested specifically for Moana to talk to her daughter to convince her that her hair, she had a beautiful Afro hair, that it was beautiful, because she did not like her hair texture or anything about it. So that kind of at that point, I started to realize, like, my experiences as a Black princess performer, it is vastly different than a white performer. I call it the Black and white experience, where, you know, being a Black performer, we have to, like, be aware and conscious of where we are constantly, because racism is pretty prominent in our, you know, everyday lives. And when it comes to portraying, you know, characters of color, or even like Princess Tiana, which I don't because colorism is a thing, we need to understand that our experiences isn't the same as everyone else. Our experiences is having grown conversations with like 5, 6, 7-year-olds and convincing them that the color of their skin is beautiful, that their size of the hair is gorgeous, like the skin they were born is. It makes them unique. It makes them different. It makes them who they are. And when it comes to my white peers, my white counterparts, they get to play pretend. So like, of course, everyone is familiar with Elsa. Elsa is from a kingdom of Arendelle, and people who portray Elsa or any of the classic princesses, they can run around and play pretend and like create this world of quite literally magic and illusion for these white children and be okay with it. And then at the end of the day, they're like, okay, you know, have a magical day, goodbye. And with me, I'm like, hey, as Moana or a character of color, I had to sit there and have really adult conversations. And again, they're really young, but children of color experience racism as soon as they come out of the womb. And we shouldn't have to have those conversations with little girls of color, because they should be having the same magical experience as their white counterparts. So I started to notice it was a major and a prevalent problem in the industry, where people would portray Black or brown princesses and then think it's okay because they have a tan. But if you're a white person portraying Moana, who has big textured hair, full lips, you know, wide nose, or whatever the case may be, they're not going to understand on a personal level to a little girl who looks like Moana on why she feels the way she does, because you guys don't, you know, they don't walk in the little girl's shoes. So ever since then, I made it my mission to change the industry standard and to actually cast these girls of color to portray these princesses of color, because I should not be having grown conversations with 5, 6-year-olds on why the color of the skin is beautiful. They should also be playing pretend with me, you know, with Moana of Motunui running around and fighting Hehe, or, you know, they're talking to Princess Tiana and she's talking about Prince Naveen and New Orleans and all of this stuff. But we don't get to do that because of, you know, of course, racism. But if princesses are also contributing to racism, even if they think it's in a magical way, it's not. It's hurting these princesses of color, because they're going to think, wow, even people who look like me don't even look like me, you know? So like, that's an issue that's really prominent in the industry, like I said. So like, that's my mission. And I made it with Ever After Storybook Entertainment to combat not only colorism, but racism. And I make sure that every character of color that is released, we have it. If it's an Asian character, if it's a Black character, if it's a Latino, if it's a Polynesian, like we make sure all these characters are represented accurately, because there's not enough. Actually, I was Moana for like about 3-4 years, where nobody in Massachusetts had her. And we had Maui too. We still have Maui. But that was a big problem. I was like, Massachusetts, it's an oversaturated industry with so many companies, and not one person had a Moana, and not one person had a Lena. And that was when I was like, okay, I need to be like this company where not only Black and brown people can come to me seeking these characters that look like them, but also Asian people as well. The Asian community, though we also have another problem within the industry where there is not enough Asian performers, or not even cast at all. I'm going to be honest, people don't even cast them. And there's Asian characters that need to be seen and represented, you know, in our companies, so that children who look like them can look up to them. And then because I've been so active in the princess industry combating against racism and colorism, when Black Lives Matter happened, I actually saw protesters walking across my house, and I had no idea this protesting was happening. And then, you know, I got on my bike and I joined them, and then every single day I was there protesting in the middle of downtown. And then I found a Facebook group for Malcolm Garcia, and you know, the issues that are happening in our city. It became one of those things, and then I became a moderator, and then here I am fighting racism against princesses, well, in the princess community and also in real life as well.
Wow, that is so exciting to hear about the impact that your business is making in these the lives of these little girls and how that could really change a whole, a whole birthday party experience. I think
Absolutely.
that other companies will start to look to you as a leader and how to do that the right way. And, it's got to be it's a lot more work to be so intentional. And so, putting thought into who you cast and looking for a diverse representation when you hire characters. So I want to acknowledge that you put in that time and that thought into who you hire, and I think it makes a difference, as well as your local activism. So it sounds like that's also something that's really a passion of yours throughout the community.
Yeah, it is really passion. And of course, being an activist and being passionate about certain issues, we do get some enemies, especially, again, I'm very heavily involved in the princess community. It's a worldwide thing. And I'm always known for pushing, like, hey, that's not accurate. Hey, that Tiana's looking, she doesn't have enough melanin for her. Maybe cast her as Moana or Jasmine. And it always becomes a battle because to them, I'm being annoying, I'm being whatever. Oh, it's just pretend, it's whatever. But to you, it is pretend, but to us, it's not. Yeah. I always make fun of the color of my skin. I was made up for like my big hair and stuff like that. And characters are now looking like that, like AKA Moana. People who look like her need to be seen. It's really upsetting that these children don't get to play pretend, like I said earlier. The whole black and white experience. But yeah, I took my activism into the city, and that's what I do now. And then that's how I found you. I saw you on Instagram and I was like, ooh, yeah. I love this. And then instant follow.
Yes. And it's been really exciting to have your business as part of our directory. There's nothing like it. So
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for sharing about your journey with us, and we really look forward to what's to come. I also want to thank you for speaking out on these issues on behalf of all of the little Black and brown children.
Yes.
And I hope other people will join you in that fight, because that is, it's
please do.
A lot of effort.
My dream is actually throwing a princess ball, but it's transcendent casting where it's all Black and brown performers playing the classical princesses. That is my dream. They need to be all seen and represented. So, Black Elsa, Black Anna, anything. Yeah. That's my dream. My next step is to get that going.
Oh, well, I hope that comes to life, and please let us know if we can help support that dream.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Tell people how they can find you, your sites, and what you have going on this summer.
Okay. You can find me at Ever After Storybook, ENT on Instagram. That's more where I'm active. You can also follow us on Facebook, which is Ever After Storybook Entertainment, and then everafterstorybook.entertainment.com. We have mermaids, we have princesses, we have superheroes, we have original characters. I really want to add dinosaurs. That's my next thing, like animatronic dinosaurs, like the puppetries. I love it. I seen it. My friend has one, and I was like blown. And I was like, "What? This is so cool!" That's what I want to do. But yeah, I was gonna plug my TikTok, but you guys don't need that. Like, my TikTok is Trickle Frackle Marco. People call me the Moana of TikTok because I've been on TikTok since it first started. So that's
what's your TikTok handle?
Trickle Frackle Marco. Okay. It was like a running username joke, and then it stuck, and now it's my legacy. And TikTok asked me to be an official TikTok creator, so I work with them a lot.
Yeah,
this is a TikTok thing. Yeah, they sent that to me.
I haven't joined TikTok yet, but I feel like I'm missing something, aren't I?
You are. It's a really funny app. Really.
Okay. Well, thank you for the tip, and thank you for all of the insight about your business. And I hope that people are able to find you Ever After Storybook Entertainment for their next parties, their next events. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
Same to you. Yeah. I'm super excited. Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks, Emmy.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I have to say it's been really great to hear from all of these women, and I always appreciate people who work with children. I think that it's such an important role, and that's often overlooked. That's very often women-led, and especially in our community, women of color-led, and is often dismissed as something that should be a woman's role and isn't held to the same value and respect that a lot of other careers are held to. And so I always applaud people who work with children. It's a hard job. It's selfless, and you're really helping kids in such formative years. And as an adult now, I think back to the adults who had an impact on my life and what a strong role they played for me. And it's oftentimes those small things that you don't know if they remember. It's like a conversation or a compliment or some type of phrase that showed that they believed in me, and that really helped me as a child, and that I still remember to this day. And so hearing from people that work with kids, it's just, it always just warms my heart, and really think, again, as an adult reflecting on that, I just think it's so important. And talking with Jackie, who's been working with kids for decades,
Yeah.
and serving right down near Bay Village. A lot of the kids who have gone through the daycare have moved on, and I think it's great that she's able to stay in touch with people and just see how people have grown over time and the impact that she's had, and how close she is with her staff and how much she values them and their careers, and helps them with their professional development. So really lifting others as you climb. It's like, it's not just her business. She really makes sure that she focuses on the professional and personal growth of her staff. So I think that's something really great. And again, I'm so happy that she was able to share her story with us.
Yeah. And the research really does show the impact that has on children of color, to have educators who look like you and who you can reflect yourself in, and how that can impact you down, as far as like your success in higher education and outcomes and throughout your schooling. So I think that it's really important that Black and brown children have role models, and so many of these women that we heard from today really are role models for children in our community. And I enjoyed hearing from Emmy, and we had her at our event in June, and what fun characters she's able to bring. I mean, we had Black Panther and Shuri, and just hearing about how she's really innovative, but setting the bar for other companies to really bring on those diverse, the representation, and actually hiring characters who are of dark skin, or matching the Disney characters so that children can see themselves. And I think that's such a powerful message that she's sending.
Yeah. It was so fun to have them at the Juneteenth pop-up. And with Neenah, I just love and I admire that she came back to her city and wanted to share her talent. She's traveled the world. She's been across the country. She's performed at places that people dream of. And I think what I appreciated most in her story was how she shared that growing up as a dancer, like she didn't look like a lot of girls in her class. She was bigger and browner, and to have the slick back bun, thin, light skin, like it wasn't her, and she never really saw herself. And so she wants to ensure that the children that she teaches have someone to look up to and can see themselves on the stage and really envision themselves having a future in dance. And I just thought that was so powerful. And I hope that every little dancer can have that experience, to not feel like they're standing out and to feel like they really belong in this, and that the stage is made for them too.
Definitely. Oh, I love that. And right downtown in New Bedford. And that's another new business that I think will have a lot of longevity. She's really been able to sustain in this pandemic. So then
I liked her little shout out to HERstory. And for those watching who remember, in our very first series, we had Samia Walker as our keynote speaker, and she works for HERstory. And so to just hear what a value that is to the community, and it's a free program. Neenah couldn't sing its praises enough. She said that she learned so much the business side of things. And so having that dance passion and being able to learn the skill set to really grow as a business owner was
Right.
imperative for her success.
Yeah, that is so cool that we have that for
Mhm.
free for entrepreneurs. So I hope people will check out E for All if they're aspiring an entrepreneur, if you're watching. And then we also want to thank Rosemary for letting us know about her services and how she's, you know, become a music therapist. And now we're able to have that service and local mommy and me groups and children's therapy and a lot of fun and exciting ways that she's able to provide therapy to children. And um, I didn't even know that we had that. So that's really exciting to have too.
Mhm. Yeah, amazing. This night was awesome, and hearing everyone's stories, it really was so exciting and great to see how people are just moving forward and continuing to grow. Really exciting. And I also think it's important for us to recognize that in addressing systemic change, if you look at why storytelling is so important, we can revisit the days of slavery when it was forbidden in policy and practice for Black people to read or write. And it wasn't just illegal, but could be deadly for an enslaved person. And so our stories throughout history have not been preserved in the way that other stories have been preserved. And thinking about this, it reminds me of the African proverb, and there's different iterations, but until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. And as you know, we have a very Eurocentric view of history, and now we're learning more and more about our stories. Even Juneteenth, how many people didn't know about what Juneteenth was, and that it was that the slaves were freed, but it was 2 years later that people in Texas heard about it. And like, that's just a prime example of how the constructs were used to keep people enslaved at the time, and how we never learned about that in history, but have learned about Christopher Columbus and all of these other leaders who are now learning we're definitely not leaders and have horrific pasts. But I think Juneteenth is just one example of history that wasn't shared, and now is being acknowledged through the efforts of so many activists and leaders who have really brought it to the forefront, and now it being recognized as a national holiday. And speaking of Juneteenth, we had a wonderful Juneteenth pop-up market, our very first in-person event, our first real life event.
We did. That was so wonderful that we were able to have that grant to be able to bring that to basically the whole South Coast. We had a lot of turnout.
Yeah, we had a huge turnout, and I think working with the steering committee and the planning committee, it was hard to guess how many people to anticipate for an event like this that we'd never done, and to have nearly 1,200, if not more people, like, our minds were blown. The vendors had such great feedback on people who were being introduced to their products. People who attended had great feedback and learning about different businesses that they didn't know existed. And a lot of people just said that they felt the vibe and the atmosphere was just really positive. For many people, it was the first time seeing each other in person. I know at the welcome table, I was saying hi to everyone as people I haven't seen since February 2020. And so
yeah, it felt like so many people turned out for it. Just so many familiar faces, and some new faces that we had been interacting with online, right? Just through the past year of running the platform, but then just being able to reunite with people, very shortly after being able to, have that clearance through the city for gatherings. And it was just like the timing of everything, and just a beautiful day. And but the biggest thing was that the vendors were supported, and we were able to get the word out about our mission. So
yeah, it was
successful.
Intergenerational support, multiracial support. There were people from all over different cities and towns.
So beautiful to see.
Yep, the food, the music, like everyone leaving said how thankful they were, and we're so thankful for everyone who attended. It was such a great success, and we're excited to share some news about some upcoming events.
Yeah, because we had so much good feedback, so much positive feedback, and we appreciate all of the constructive feedback too, so that we can enhance the event and bring it back even better on August 28th. We will be coming to you from the Roach Jones Staff House, and this will be a morning event. We're going to be offering the same vendors, some new vendors. We're going to be offering food, ways for you to connect with BuyBlackNB live and in person, and support local Black-owned business, support the community, celebrate National Black Business Month. So that is on August 28th. Please save the date. We will also have our Facebook and Eventbrite page so that you can register and stay in the loop. But it's going to be back by popular demand.
Yeah. And if anyone watching wants to volunteer, please go to Justina, info@buyblacknb.com. There is tons of space for volunteers to help with greeting, with keeping count. We'll find a job that fits for you and would love to have you on board to help out for an hour or for the whole day. It'll be great to have you if you're interested.
Yeah. We could definitely use the extra set of hands. So our next HERstory event, we will be bringing another group of local Black business leaders, women who own their own businesses, and that will be on September 23rd. So we have a lot of fun events coming up through the summer, and we hope that you'll continue to stay plugged in and engage with us. And we have some, as you can see, virtual events, some live in-person events, so something for everyone. And we hope that we'll see you back, continuing to shop small, shop local, and supporting Black-owned businesses.
Wonderful. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.